Most important thing in business is honesty, integrity, hard work, family, never forgetting where we came from.
Welcome to the Network Show. I'm your host, Lawrence Wingate.
And I'm Nancy White, your other host. And today we have an amazing woman with us, Donna Reed. And Donna Reed is the CEO and founder of Home For Me and also her coaching and business strategy. But welcome, Donna. We're so grateful.
Yes,
Thank
welcome to the show.
Thank you both. Thank you both for having me.
Oh. So, Donna, we all love knowing about the story behind the story. And being an entrepreneur is hard work, and it's got a lot of challenges because when we're in corporate America and we're working for somebody else, we can just sort of leave it.
Yes.
But would you share with us the things that brought you into entrepreneurship and that are guiding you in this day, but pretty much the history?
Absolutely. Well, I became an entrepreneur because of the need for me to be home with my children. So I was in a relationship at an early age. 18, I got married. 19, I found myself pregnant as I wanted to be. But by 20, 21, and 22, I had had 3 babies, 23 single parent. And when I ended up trying to figure out what job would be able to take care of them, pay the bills and that type of thing, and a babysitter, it wasn't happening. But the one thing I grew up with and I realized is I was gifted in my hands. And I was very, very creative. And my parents always told me that I could do and be anything I wanted to be. So I took that creativity, I took the giftedness in my hands, and I began to make crafts. And so being forced to the welfare system with 3 little babies, I began to go to college. So I took advantage of the situation that I was forced into. I went to college, and while I was in college, I began to do crafts and that type of thing. Craft shows on weekends. My kids were underneath the table while I was conducting business on top of the table, and I just grew the business. Eventually, I did go to work. Once my youngest one was in kindergarten, I did go to work, but then I found myself concerned and nervous about them and what was taking place with them after school. And so I eventually worked my way off of the welfare system, out of the job, and into entrepreneurship full time.
In your family, are you the only entrepreneur, or did somebody inspire you to be one other than your situation?
I am the only entrepreneur, but what inspired me was my mother. My mother, who always told me, Donna, you can do anything. She was a leader. She was a civil rights leader. She was one who was always on the move and making things happen. And I can tell you today, I am Mary Johnson's daughter.
All right.
Without a doubt.
Mary Johnson.
Mary
Thank you.
Johnson. Yes. Yes.
Oh.
And the amazing thing is I was raised in foster care. So this was my mom who found me literally in an orphanage.
Okay.
But she raised me to be everything that I am today. I am thankful and grateful to her. But she always inspired me to do anything. We didn't even know what entrepreneurship was. Matter of fact, that word wasn't even in existence when I started business. They called it small business. And I worked from home. I've always worked from home. And when I worked from home, they wouldn't even ship products to me because it was a residential address. So I always had to find ways around that when I first started. But the word small business always bothered me, because I didn't want my business to be small.
Right.
I wanted it to be big, and I felt like I was speaking that over myself. So you start out, you're a small business. But I have always, and I always encourage everyone, use we. Yes. Don't ever just say, I do this, I do that, because if it's only you doing it, I'm concerned.
Yes.
Right.
But I would always say, this is what we do. This is what we do. And eventually that we took place when my daughters became teenagers. Okay. And they wanted to eat every day. They wanted new clothes all the time. And they wanted to do things that I was saying, wait, now it's just me. Because I raised them singly. And then by then, I had a 4th daughter. And so they were all teenagers at the same time. And then God had given me a vision for them. And it was these 2 little stick figures on the front of a tote bag. Yes. Now remember, prior to this, I have done every craft you can imagine. Macrame, plant holders, ceramics, building shelves, anything I could do. Never been to school for any of it. Paint, art. And now I have these girls that are here in my home with me, 4 teenage girls, and boys knocking on the door, wanting to pull them out. And my prayer became, how do I remain a greater influence in their life? And what can I do to keep them occupied? And as an answer to that prayer, God gave me a vision of 2 little stick figures and on the front of a tote bag. And I said to the girls, this is something you all can do. And just like any other teenagers, they were like, yeah. So I made them do 30 bags for an event that I was doing. We had just recently moved to Charlotte. This was in 1996. And with those, with the bags, they named them tea bags because all 4 of my daughters' names begin with T, and they started with bags, and they started with tote bags. So they called them tea bags. They sold out of 30 bags on the first day of a 4-day event.
Oh my.
People were coming back on the please, I want one. And so one of my daughters was standing there and she was getting ready to say, well, we don't have any. And I tapped her on her ankle with my foot. And I said, what would you like on your bag? And that's how we began to make orders and take orders. Yes.
That is.
And some people were coming back asking for T-shirts, and we didn't do T-shirts. But I said,
Not
what
yet.
size do you wear? No, it was what size do you wear?
Adapt to the situation.
Yep.
And that shifted us from the business that I was doing, the business that worked us off of welfare, into the family business that would turn into a major concept, which was our family business that turned into an organization, a 501c3. So our business Tea Bags, we took the family concept and began to teach young people how to develop their skill and talent to a level of success with an entrepreneurial emphasis. And then I began to see the mothers of these young people sitting back on their gifts and on their talents. And that's what kicked off my coaching. I began to coach them how to incorporate the family, how to encourage your young people, but how to be an inspiration and to take what you have, your skills, your talents, your gifts, and use them to benefit you, the family, and fulfill your purpose with a profit.
And what was the name of the organization that your 501c3?
So the business Tea Bags, remember my 4 daughters all tea with bags. The organization is Tea Bags. Teach boys and girls success.
And I love that acronym.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Yes.
And I love that you talk about we, because it is always we, even though entrepreneurs feel like they're alone sometimes. That's why networking and everything is so important, even in your family.
Yes.
And I love how you showed your girls that it takes more than just you, that it's we working together.
Yes.
So I think that's amazing, Donna, that you started instilling that at a very young age, and then you started coaching and teaching other people about it too.
And one important thing with that is looking at 4 girls, right? I looked at their gifts and their talents. What was it that they liked to do? And that's what I had them do within the business. And so they didn't mind doing it. And what it did was, each one of them, as they went to go get actual jobs, because they didn't even think we had an actual job.
Oh.
They didn't think the business was a job at all. They were like, we need, and they were right. They needed to go out.
Right.
They needed to know what it looked like to work a job
Both
when
sides.
you have this at home.
Exactly.
Right? So they needed both sides. But when they went to go get jobs, they had the confidence, they had the experience, and then they had the ability to say, this is what I want to do this. So they would negotiate. They didn't just go out and say, oh, this is what you're paying, this is what I'll take. Because they knew they had something to fall back on, which was the business. And they had the experience that they could put on their applications. And so we were able to teach them customer service, business, how it all works behind the scenes, in front of the scenes. And so they went out there ready as teenagers. So, yes.
So as they were growing and the business was growing and you seen the confidence and everything that how they grew into from young girls to young women.
Yes.
How did it make you feel?
Oh, it made me feel great because of what was expected from me. I expected nothing less from them. I raised them the same way my mother raised me. The difference is I had a mother and a father. They only had me. So I was even more strict on them. They didn't like it, but they appreciate it now. As a matter of fact, so don't the young men that used to knock on the door.
Yes.
Because when they knocked on that door, I didn't let my girls go out that door. I pulled them inside. And it sometimes, I'm telling you, I would look and say,
It was an investigation.
What in the world are y'all bringing home? You know? But I didn't let the look or anything like that. I pulled them in. How are your grades? What are you doing? What does your future look like? And when they said they want to take my girls out, let me see your license and let me make sure it matches that registration that's on that car. And I would check them. And I have young men that have come back to me and said, thank you for what you did when I knocked on your door, because now that's what I do with mine.
Yes.
And so, yeah, the kids, they might not have liked it, my girls, but I told them, like it or not,
this is the way it is.
This is the way it is. And the one thing I said to them that they still appreciate, and I said, and all of my girls are in long-term marriages, and which I'm so thankful. I have 18 grandkids. So guess what? It has started over. The cycle has started over, and so now I'm that same person to my grands as I, was to my daughters. But here was an interesting thing. When those boys used to come in the house, I used to ask them to do things. Like, can you carry that box over here? Can you take out the trash? Things that my girls would get embarrassed of. But I would say, pay attention to the response.
Yes.
Because now you see what you're getting. This is what you brought home.
Yes.
This is what you brought here. Now, if they say, yes, ma'am, that's what you're getting. If they he and haw, that's what you're getting. And so they paid attention. And when they picked and selected their husbands, I tell you, they knew what to do.
Absolutely.
They knew what to do. Even though I had no example in the house, the example that I was, they knew what to do. And they all had picked great. I love my son-in-laws. Every one of them.
So what we're going to do,
Yes.
we're going to go to a commercial break.
Okay.
Let's
Yes.
take Nancy have a
Oh,
commercial
yes,
break.
but before we go for our break, Donna, I love it. Doesn't everybody enjoying this amazing woman and all the behind the scenes? So, we being entrepreneurs, we've gone through this journey and we're continuing through the journey.
Yes.
And so I would love for you to share with the audience what is the one thing that, reflecting back, that you would never ever do again, and that you would suggest that they never ever do again.
Absolutely.
Oh, but before she answers that question, we're going to go to a quick commercial and come back to find out what this amazing woman that has had so many things going on in her life and her entrepreneurship and growth would never ever do again.
Be right back.
Every day when I sit home and maybe at my table or in my living room, it makes me wonder what happens when these young people age out of foster care. Where do they call home? Well, that's where the vision and founding of Home for Me came from. HOME stands for Hope, Opportunity, Mentoring, and Education. And it's all about making sure young people are prepared when they age out of the foster care system. So today I want you to understand that it takes you and it takes it takes all of us working together to make sure that these young people are prepared. I want you to go to our website, homeforme.org, and see the many opportunities and ways that you can help. And again, as I continue to pray every day for these young people, I want you to pray and get involved and make sure that they have a home for them. They deserve it as well as we do.
Welcome back to the Network Show. I'm your host, Lawrence Wingate.
And I'm your host, Nancy White. And today we have got Donna Reed with us. And what an extraordinary woman she is. So Donna, before we left for the commercial break, we asked you a question. Looking back over your journey, what is the one thing that you would never, ever do again?
Nancy, I would never devalue who I am and what I have to offer. I did that for so many years. I would put a cost or an amount on what it is that I had to offer, or even the products, just hoping that that's something that they would, accept more so than the actual value of what it was. I did that for too many years, and I want to say to everyone listening, I did it for you. So you don't have to do it. do not devalue who you are and what you have to offer.
Great advice. That is fantastic. And again, you used the word we before we left in the first part. You can talk with somebody else to be able to help
Yes.
you to know how to price things and how services, products, and all those.
Yes.
So that is where we come in.
Yes. And we too often figure out what someone has in their pocket before we even put our price on there. We say, oh, I don't know if they can afford it. I have, as a coach, realized, and this is one of my taglines, it is my position to position you to pay me. So as a coach, I put you in position to make a profit and to take your business to the next level, which will afford you whatever it is you're looking to reach your desire, and to pay whatever it is you need to pay. Because we all need to invest into something. And the first thing we invest in business is ourselves.
Absolutely.
The first thing we need to invest in is ourselves. And so, and then if we he and haw about that, what are we going to expect from other people?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, so never devalue yourself. You're too valuable for that.
Excellent.
We understand, we talked about in the last segment, the TBAG organization. Can you tell me about, let's talk about Home for Me?
Absolutely. So T-Bags, again, was working with teens, so that developing their skill and their talents and that type of thing. But my passion, being raised in foster care, has always been teens that are in foster care. Because what happens when they turn 18 is they age out of the system. Their resources come to a stop and they end up out in the world by themselves. I know for a fact, even as much as I had support behind me, when I was 18, I was not ready for the world.
No.
I raised my girls to be smart and to do the things they need to do, be responsible. They were ready when they were 18, even though they had the support. So to imagine a young person, 18 years old, and has been raised in foster care or a group home. When they age out, they are literally in the world on their own, and many of them instantly end up homeless. And so Home for Me was derived from Teach Boys and Girls Success, where we were working with teens and then decided that we were going to focus on teens that are in foster care. We have a conference called the National Family Empowerment Conference. And after our conference a few years ago, we realized that even though we're empowering and impacting the family with a focus on the teens, we realized, what are we doing after this conference on an ongoing basis to make sure these young people are prepared when they age out of the system? And so Home for Me was derived from that. And HOME stands for Hope, Opportunity, Mentoring, and Education.
Okay.
So we make sure that they are prepared, that they're prepared for college if that's the route they're going to take, prepared for the workforce if that's where they're going, or for a trade. And then we also make sure that they're prepared for housing, which right now is a crisis.
It is.
It's a crisis all across the board. So can you imagine if it's a crisis for two people in a home with incomes, what it would be for an 18-year-old who just aged out of the system? And the key words is, all they did was turn 18.
I know.
These are some wonderful young people, just like you and I. All they need is the same thing I received, and that was an opportunity in life. And my mother said when she walked in that orphanage and saw me as a little girl sitting in the corner, she said it took one look. And she gave me the opportunity I needed in life. And it is my desire in life to give that back.
It is. And that's the support system that these young people need. They just need to know that someone cares, that someone's taking action to partner with them.
Yes.
And I know you, and I know that you do not take any slack from anybody.
Right.
And so it's not that you were just doing a handout, but you are connecting.
That's right.
The hands.
That's right. Absolutely.
Okay.
And
So for Home for Me, with our viewers, how can they help you?
oh, absolutely. One, you can go to homeforme.org. And so there's a lot of information on there about what we do. And the other thing, how you can help is, one, there is always a young person that needs us. They need our skill. They need our talent. They need our mentorship. They need us to be involved, like Nancy said. One of the things we do, which people think might be just so very simple, is our goal is to give every teen in foster care a bed and a bag. What does that mean and why? Well, when they go from home to home, or even in the places they may be in, that's not actually what place they can, say, this is my home. It gives them that comfort, it gives them that ownership, and it gives them that something that they can take with them.
Yes.
We have a program called Fill a Suitcase. And so we have a partnership with an airline that actually gives us unclaimed suitcases. And we have people fill them with towels. And when they make the donation, we fill them. But towels, sheets, umbrellas, things like that people don't think of on a day-to-day that we need. Something that belongs to them. They're not going into somebody else's atmosphere or going into somebody else's situation, having to go into somebody else's room.
Yes.
Then the other thing, they can help always with donations, always help. But the other thing that we do is we have what's called the ultimate birthday party.
All right.
And Donna has more fun on this than the kids.
Yes, I do.
She does.
Because you will find, my daughter, when they were growing up, they were teens, they said that one of them came home one day and said, Mommy, they were saying we were a dysfunctional family because they were talking what was normal and what dysfunctional was. So a one-parent home at this particular time was called dysfunctional.
Right.
She said, but Mommy, you put the fun in dysfunctional. I said, that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
I love it.
I believe if you have a great time at what you're doing, and yes, I do. I love playing games and having fun. But at this party, it is a party where the majority of these teens have never had a birthday party. So it is just for them. Yeah. It is for them to have fun. They have their individual little cakes, their individual birthday cards with their names on it. And it's fun. There's no program behind it. There's no name tag. It's like come in and just party. Food, cake, gifts, music.
I will tell you, this woman gets competitive with musical chairs.
Yes, I do. With all games.
Yeah.
Oh, let me say this. I don't believe in letting people win. I believe in teaching you to beat me while I'm beating you.
Yeah.
All right. Understand? I understand.
No, because the only way you're going to teach them that strategy is not to let them win, but show them how to win.
Yes.
And that's what I do.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yes. So I love it and they love it.
Well, we're so grateful again, Donna, for you being here. So how can people get in touch with you to make sure that they have clarity again, how they can just get in touch with you?
So if you would love to and just would like to get involved on any capacity, on any level with Home For Me, it's homeforme.org. If you are in need of coaching, if you have a vision, a business, a ministry that you want to start up, start over, or start growing, call me. You can go to my website, DonnaLeeReed.com. DonnaLeeReed.com.
And how do you spell Reed?
It's 2 E's. Lee is 2 E's. Reed is 2 E's.
All right.
All right.
Great.
I look forward to hearing from you.
Well, thank you again.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. Thank you all for what you all are doing.
Oh, thank you.
Because it is a blessing to be able to get people out there to network through social media, which is one of the ways now, which is one of the only ways now almost, it seems like you can get people. But yes. And then, listen, go to nfecandexpo.com. That will tell you all about the conference that's coming up in September.
Perfect.
Right. Well, you heard that from
Yes.
Donna Reed herself. This concludes the interview for the network show. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
The most important thing in business is honesty. Integrity, hard work. Family. Never forgetting where we came from. So you are what you are in this world. That's either one or two things. Either you're somebody or you're nobody. The most important thing in business is honesty. Family. Never forgetting where we came from. So you are what you are in this world.